Let's look ahead, though, because obviously both these teams, the Chiefs, they'll be back there no matter who they lose. Well, let's go through who they are set to potentially lose this offseason. For the Eagles, $18 million cap space, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, your two D linemen, Zach Bond, Mekhi Becton, also set to hit for agency. And then Brandon Graham will be retiring, so he ain't coming back. Who of those with $18 million in cap space are you prioritizing for the Eagles to get back in the spot?
Well, you're going to be getting Nakobe Dean back, and you're going to want Zach Bond to pair with him in my imagination. It's his first season playing off-ball linebacker, and he was damn near a defensive player of the year guy. Josh Sweat was just damn near your Super Bowl MVP there on the defensive side of the football. Milton Williams is a guy that adds more teeth to that group and frees up some of these rushers on the inside. The one that really is a question mark for me, Mekhi Becton, obviously had a fantastic season with the Philadelphia Eagles, but as you and I both know, whether it's guard or tackle, these guys are going to be owed a shit ton of money. And when you become a Super Bowl champion, you know, when you're in the locker room after that Super Bowl, you're looking around, you're understanding that we've just had a kingmaker scenario where every single one of these guys is going to get paid and every single guy is not going to take anything less than what they're owed. And for Mekhi Becton, it may be a little bit heftier of an ask than what the Philadelphia Eagles can provide him. I love Coach Stoutland. I love the offensive line there, and I think that they will probably, if it's not Mekhi Becton, they will probably have no problems finding somebody to fill in at that right guard spot and pick up where they left off, because that's just how they do it in Philadelphia. We saw with Brandon Brooks. We saw with Mekhi Becton this year. Who's the guy going to be next year? Which center from the SEC is going to get picked up? Which tackle from the artist formerly known as the Big East who will end up being the guy for Coach Stoutland?
Yeah, I tend to agree that Zach Bond, of those four, would be the most likely to come back and may very well be the only guy to come back, because they're all going to get paid a lot of freaking money. Josh Sweat's still only 27 years old. Milton Williams is only hitting free agency for the very first time. Mekhi Becton would have gotten paid a lot more had he been healthy the way he was this year for his entire Jets career. So all those guys are looking at big paydays. And while Zach Bond he's still a 29-year-old linebacker, off-ball linebacker, coming off one season. And for his sake, he'll probably get paid more if he stays in that scheme and keeps producing over the course of his career. So that's where I see them. And truthfully, even if they lose Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Mekhi Becton, the train ain't slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah.
They have reinforcements there in tow. So not the biggest deal in the world for Eagles fans. All right, let's go to the Chiefs. They have less cap space, $11 million. A little more guys hitting free agency, but maybe not as big an impact. Justin Reed, Turk Wharton, Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Najee Johnson, Nuke Hopkins, Charles Omenihu, all hitting free agency. Any of those names really stand out for them to try and keep?
Well, I'm just going to go down the list and kind of discuss each one. Justin Reed is a guy with a ton of experience, really bright on the back end, a guy that I could see Spags wanting to hold on to, because he's kind of the brain of that operation, physical player, can get down into the box and do his thing there, not intimidated by bigger guys. Tershawn Wharton, Turkey Leg Wharton down there, he's a guy that can win one-on-ones in the pass protection, but as we've heard all week, this Chiefs group not big enough to handle that Eagles group. I think he can go make some money somewhere in free agency. He's been a really, really good piece, like a rotational piece for that Chiefs group. Trey Smith is one that I have circled because he is going to be, he's going to be newly minted. They're not going to back up the Brinks truck. They're going to back up the Shad Khan yacht for that guy's payday. And he finished the game healthy, I think. So for him, I hope he gets to go somewhere and makes more money than he could ever imagine, because he's earned it. Nick Bolton is a guy that seems like yesterday he was a rookie, but that was 2021. Now he's up for a payday. He's going to be owed some money, but also a guy that is a centerpiece in that locker room. I could see them wanting to hold on to Nick Bolton. Najee Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Charles Omenihu, all names that I think could be moved on elsewhere, or DeAndre Hopkins might end up just saying it's time for me to go home.
Mm-hmm. Very fair. And probably truthfully is for him. I tend to agree. If I were to say most likely to return, I think Turk Wharton's a guy they really would want back, especially given what he just did to that Eagles defensive line in the Super Bowl. I mean, he was their most impactful player on the defensive side of the football. He showed more than Chris Jones did. And now maybe that's because they're paying more attention to Chris Jones than Turk Wharton. But man, that guy made himself some money with that performance.
I can vouch for him, Mike, because when I got to Kansas City, I was still healthy. I was still a real good player. He was a really, really, really tough guy to get your hands on. Tremendous lateral quickness, burst. He's got natural leverage. And the thing I love about Turk Wharton is he came out of a tiny, tiny school. You may know the school. I couldn't tell you the school off the top of my head, but when I read it, I said, that's a made up school. That's a GTP made up school. But Brett Veach went and found him. He's been brought up within the Chiefs organization, kind of the Robin to Chris Jones's Batman inside. And to your point, he is part of the flavor of that defensive line for the Chiefs. I could totally see them holding on to him.
Missouri S&T. He's 26 years old.
Science and technology.
I think they'd love to have him back. Obviously, with their cap situation, easier said than done. But that's a guy that you want to keep in the fold. I think Nick Bolton's another guy in that mold. But they do have absolutely Leo Chanel waiting in the wings to probably be his heir apparent should he move on. So him, Bolton, Reed, those are your three most likely to return. After that, it's kind of just like they may all be gone this offseason.